Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into the Sunday edition of the G-1 Champions League, possibly the single most anticipated match in G1 so far. We've got Zenith taking on Invictus Gaming with a ride to the G1 LAN Finals on the line. Invictus Gaming playing for a chance to advance to the live finals. I mean, at this point, what reason do any of us have to expect anything different anytime they enter a tournament? G-1, Ferrari, Zoe, Faith, YYF, playmakers, superstars at every position, and they're perfect so far in 2013, winning every series since the new year, the most notable of which was, of course, the 3-1 trouncing of LGD International in the G League Finals back in March. Since then, they've also added a win against a DK to their stat sheet on the year, running over them entirely early in Phase 3. Now they'll be up against the streaking Zenith squad, one which is, without a doubt, the biggest test they've faced since the conclusion of G League. IG has officially earned the description of perennially favored, however, and they'll be even more true, as Zenith will be leaving the locker room short-handed today, but they'll still need to stay on their toes if they want to avoid being the latest victims of the Southeast Asian superstars. Now Zenith, well, when it comes to them, sometimes words just can't do it justice, so instead, let's talk numbers. 10. That's how many consecutive series Zenith has won dating back to mid-March. Here's another one for you. 15. That's how many games in a row Zenith has won in their last 10 consecutive series wins. You have to go all the way back to February to find the last time they lost a game or a series. Now, even bigger one. 19. That's how many series they've won out of their last 20 going all the way back to February. How about 28? That's how many games they've won out of their last 31 possible games dating all the way back to February 2nd. Yeah, you could say Zenith is kind of on a roll. Impressive numbers to be sure, but there's a rather troubling integer that we have to discuss as well. That's 4. That's how many of their core 5-man squad will be joining us today with XY sitting out. There's with just missing him is going to hurt a ton, but they do have a very talented stand-in, and Miracle joining us from First Departure. So if they can get everything together, one more number they got to have in mind. That's 2. 2 game wins, 1 more series win to add to their stat sheet, and they'll be advancing to the live LAN finals. If you're just tuning in, I am AC, joined by Puppy for this broadcast. Puppy, so happy to have you back with us this morning. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Woke up, saw IG against Zenith. Ready to roll, man.
Can't argue with that too much. So the bans and the picks are moving through pretty quick. We see the Magnus first pick up from Invictus. That's becoming something very standard for them if they can get a chance to get their hands on the mag. You and I both have discussed it at length, just how strong that hero is in all phases of the game. Zenith got a real quick tinker to go with their Shadow Demon.
Yeah, they're giving away Magnus for the teamfight potential, but they're giving the risk away. They don't have really a choice to give away anything better, because they could have given away Batrider. That's a bad idea. They could have given away Nakes. I don't think they would have first picked Nakes. It still would have been a Magnus. I guess Zenith themselves don't like to play with Nakes, and they would not have picked it up. They would have definitely went for Tinker Shadow Demon, regardless if the Nakes was in the pool, so they just removed it. Right now, I don't see the call, the Keeper of the Light ban, which makes me think that IG usually bans it, by the way. They usually like to ban it. I guess it's because they still fear the PL. They don't want to play against it, but seemingly they don't care about it right now.
Picking up Rubik and Juggernaut to go with the Magnus, they've got a lot of lane versatility, and you and I have gotten a first-hand look over the past few days. 3 out of the last 4 days you and I have broadcasted together, just how strong Juggernaut can be, especially in the early and mid-game phases, and seeing that hero even function out of an offensive trialing. When you have a Rubik plus a Jug, that's always a possibility. But I really like the pickups from Zenith so far. You've got 2 heroes that give you a lot, Shadow Demon, and I've talked about this in previous broadcasts. Shadow Demon and Rubik very similar in what they can bring to the table, and that both heroes are more defensive by nature, but they can be played very aggressively if you want to use them that way. Then you combine that with a Tinker and now a Darkseer. They've got a lot of push and a lot of anti-push at the same time.
Yeah, Zenith are going for spell damage. They're going for control and spell damage. They have Disruption, they have, what's it called? Surge. They have Surge, they have Disruption, they have Slow on the Juggernaut if he goes spinning in. They have lots of control. But IG are just going for mass damage. They don't care. They just want to get this Juggernaut in power, take Roshans, you know, take kills as fast as they can, take Roshan as fast as they can.
We see the chin ban out coming from Invictus now, and I think that kind of jives with what we were seeing. They don't want to give Zenith any more push potential. They don't want to give them any more control. And just, I mean, already the team fight potential from Zenith going to make it very hard for Invictus unless they're just able to win a positional battle, able to get a pick and push kind of a situation rolling. It's almost impossible to engage into a Tinker when he has March in the Machines properly leveled up, as you mentioned with Shadow Demon, the defensive properties of Disruption. But it's a really good point as well that Demonic Purge will slow Juggernaut down, keep him manageable within a fight, and of course what Darkseer can give you with both Ion Shell and then his Vacuum Wall combination once it comes out. Zenith's actually going to go ahead and take out a Luna here. Very interesting, ban.
Well, they're afraid of the strong, massive damage which can actually come out from IG. As you can see, if they would have given away a Luna, it probably would have been a situation where they would have just, if they would lose one hero on a map, they would just straight go Roshan. They don't care. They're gonna have like 38 damage on all their heroes. That's 200 damage hitting at the same time the Roshan every time. That Roshan is gonna drop really fast, and they don't want this. They don't want this to happen. And actually, Potom is banned out. So I guess they are noticing that Zenith are only going for control. They're not really going to a late game phase. They're really not having a good, like, ideal plan. They just want to control all lanes and somehow win the game.
Well, seeing what we see so far, I'm really interested to see exactly what hero is going to wind up mid for them. Could be Tinker, could be Darkseer, but we've been seeing a lot of fun combinations coming out of Tinker so far, as running him in defensive tri-lane positions even, or just in a 2-1-2 lineup. I want to say we saw that a couple of days ago. Invictus still wide open. Juggernaut usually wants to have some more carry potential available to him if you can get it, and Gyrocopter hasn't been banned out either. That's a hero that I think could work well with both lineups.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't think IG really needs a Gyrocopter. But Zenith's problem, if they pick it up, they're going to have a lot of heroes that don't really do anything against Juggernaut. So, yes, he's going to spin and you're going to run away from him, but you're never going to kill him. I'm going to fairly surely going to see some kind of a different carry for Zenith. It's actually, I'm not really sure. I don't see their second support. They might go something crazy. They might go Lycanthrope and have complete control of the fight. Because you don't give away Magnus just for nothing against IG. If you give away Magnus, you gotta have a plan against IG. Because I've never seen them lose a game with Magnus. I've never even seen them close to losing a game with Magnus. Because every time you go to a tier 2 tower and you start pushing it, you're dead. Because Ferrari plays this hero really well. And it's not about Ferrari. It's about G-1. It's about Fate. It's about everybody that combinates after the skewer, after the RP. They do it perfectly, and they are a good team. We all know that. And they will execute it very well. So they need to have a plan against this Magnus.
Invictus taking out the DK, I think that plays perfectly into what you were talking about. Zenith still looking for some kind of a true right-click carry, and with the control style they've drafted for themselves so far with the Tinker, the Shadow Demon, and the Darkseer. DK, I think, could have worked really well there, especially with the bonus armor that comes from Dragon Blood and dealing with Juggernaut and his mid-game potential. And then, of course, at level 16, he gets the free Scotty. And that, you know, I often describe DK that way. He's kind of an anchor hero in those team fights. Once he gets to level 16, once he has his level 3 ultimate, he manages fights very well. Then you combine that with something like a Darkseer, Shadow Demon, Tinker, and you can definitely see why Invictus did not want to allow that hero onto the board. And Gyro is going to be banned out here by Zenith. I was curious if that hero was going to survive. And again, Invictus maybe not needing him. I think it would have worked really well, though. An RP into a call down with Juggernaut ready to follow up with Omni Slash, to say nothing of Rubik, or Omni Slash and Blade Fury, to say nothing of Rubik spam of Fade Bolt. I mean, already, and you know, you put in Shockwave to that. Invictus at that point would have just had an absolutely immense amount of damage, especially when you factor in Rocket Barrage and Flak Cannon. So Zenith not going to let them get their hands on that.
Well, IG's point is that they don't really have anything to deal with Juggernaut or Magnus. And if they're going to have to deal with a Gyrocopter too, it's not going to be good for them. So they just ban it out.
Silencer, the pickup from Invictus. Now, Silencer, a hero we have been seeing, I won't say get a resurgence. I mean, ever since the hero came back into CM, you know, weeks ago, he's been played here and there for the longest time, at least in the D2L. Whenever I've casted him, he really didn't have that good of a win percentage. But heroes or players and teams seem to be figuring that hero out a lot, and it all really comes down to his ultimate. And given what Zenith has shown us so far, I mean, they're completely all in on nothing but abilities right now. Of course, we'll wait and see what their composition is going to look like after their own 4th pick. But with that silencer picked up, they're going to go with the tiny. So even in that situation, silencer going to be an absolute key hero. He has to pull the trigger on his silence at just the right time.
See, that's what I'm wondering. I wasn't thinking that the gyrocopter would have been such a big problem for them, because if they want to go some hero like Tiny does not care about gyrocopter. He doesn't die from like the rockets or the spam with flat cannon. He does not die. He can just go in and hit the tower. It won't matter. But Silencer is a strong hero against their lineup. If you will ever lose map control and your Zenith, I think against Silencer you can't really do anything much, because you can't. If you go smoke ganking some Juggernaut or Magnetar, they're gonna pop the silence, and you're gonna risk losing 5 heroes. That's what's maybe gonna happen.
Shadow Fiend going to be the last picked up from Invictus Gaming. Gives them a little bit more mid-game and late-game potential. And you know, talked a bit about Zenith and their potential to split push, especially with a Tinker, you know, the Darkseer and so on. But now when you look at Invictus, just think about the pure magic damage output they have, to say nothing of actual abilities. I mean, outside of physical abilities and what have you. You're going to have Shockwave, you're going to have Fade Bolt to spam, you're going to have 3 instances of Shadow Rays, and that's on top of Juggernaut's entire kit and the global silence you have to deal with. This is the kind of game where if Invictus is able to put it together and land an RP, there's not going to be any recovery. There's just going to be no way. Your heroes are going to melt immediately.
Well, I know Ice has a plan. He's like, okay guys, you stand there and I will toss the Juggernaut into a hill and Juggernaut's out of fight. I know it's going to happen. He's going to run in spinning and Ice is going to toss to me, and you see this Juggernaut be tossed into some weird place and they win the fight because of it. I know his brain. I know his brain.
Dim Puppy Insights, letting us know what the plans are going to be. We're going to see Juggernauts flying throughout the air as if fired from a T-shirt cannon. Still waiting on this last pickup. I want to thank everyone once again for joining us this morning. If you're in the United States like I am, in your morning, evening, or afternoon, either way, thanks for being a part of our G1 coverage. Make sure you check out g1.2p.com, your coverage hub for all that is G1, interviews, your brackets, all that fun stuff, and of course your casting hub as well. And you can interact with us in real time on Twitter. So Lena gonna be that last support pickup. Of course, we know how well she works with the Shadow Demon. Now, looking at the way that this is gonna go, I mean, it seems pretty cookie cutter. For Zenith, at the very least, would think Tinker would be mid, with Darkseer either in the woods or the off lane, Tiny, Lena, and Shadow Demon, a fairly potent tri-lane. On the side of Invictus, though, gets a little bit more complicated. Magnus usually wants his mid, could have Silencer, Rubik, and Juggernaut. Now, that trio there, I have seen run in an offensive tri-lane, but I haven't seen it have that much success.
Well, in IG's part of the game it's very important what the SF pick did right here, because it could have been a different carry. It could have been a carry that has his stable lane and he doesn't really get ganked and stuff, but this is an SF. This hero needs protection at some point, which means that if they ever lose top lane, IG, then they're gonna have a problem bottom. They will, because Darkseer will start running over this Shadow Fiend sooner or later. Maybe not. Maybe Zhao will get a kill there. Maybe I'm wrong, but in the end, IG is playing very old style. They know that the Juggernaut does not need much. They know everything relies on the Magnetar. They're getting some levels on the Juggernaut, so he will get the Healing Ward and the Spin and the Omni Slash. But they know that if you get him in power and the SF is high level, -6 armor, it's enough to deal a lot of damage. So they're not relying much on this top lane, but at the same time they are, because if they ever face a death on SF bottom, it's going to ruin their game.
Well, again, I have to think back where I've seen this. The last time I saw it, though, the problem with a tri-lane like this is it cannot afford to lose even a little bit. It can't afford to get behind in levels, just because Silencer, as strong as the hero is, needs to be on par with his opposition to really be of use, given he does not have any real effective stun or disable. So if he's picked off, if you end up seeing Chuan or Faith give up a silly death early on, then all of a sudden YYF can't play quite as forward as he wants. He can't rely on Omni Slash, or excuse me, on Blade Fury to do the damage he wants, because he's not sure if his supports can survive in the fight long enough for him to really be of maximum effect. And especially when you look at what Zenith already has, you're going to have some mass AoE stun potential coming out of Miracle and Ice. with the Avalanche plus the Light Strike Array. That's to say nothing of the single target potential Freedom's going to bring, being able to follow up a disruption with the Soul Catcher.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at the Shadow Fiend. This is very problematic, this haste room.
Already being forced back by Ice Ice Ice. And yeah.
I don't know why he wasn't standing behind the tower, because this is very gruesome for him. He can't do anything right now.
And Ice will be able to continue to pull the creep wave. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about. I mean, the tri-lane itself I feel is problematic, and you called it. I mean, he's going to be able to harass him out. And this is a lane that, at the very least, so long as he's able to get a few stacks on Necromastery, he will be a little bit more problematic for the Darkseer. But for now, I mean, again, we can already see, you know, Ice 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 dragging the creep wave. But finally, Zoe's going to get himself up under the tier 2.
Well, the lanes are starting very normally. Actually, I haven't said the heroes or the players on the heroes, so
haven't had time. I'll go ahead and do that. Run through our lineups. He was under the tier 1, by the way, not the tier 2. But how about we go and start with Shadow Fiend? He's going to be handled by Zoe here in the bottom lane. Silencer is going to be played by Faith, as mentioned, up in that top tri lane. Ferrari 430, no surprise to see him on the Magnus with Juggernaut, handled by YYF, and Chuan going to be playing on Rubik. On the other side of the river, Ice Ice Ice, Ice Cubed. Going to be going one on Fiend. He's on Darkseer. Going to have Ice handling Arlena Tinker, played by NWP, better known as Yamate, and Miracle, the stand-in of First Departure, standing in for XY, who unfortunately unable to be here for today's match. He'll be farming the Tiny with Freedom, handling the Shadow Demon.
Well, the phase on the lanes is pretty normal. The neutral creeps are all farmed by Zenith. The first spawn there, and then this Ursa, as you can see. But it's fine, I guess. They're getting everything for the Juggernaut, and he's not dying. I think the phase boost will be very early this time.
Yeah, Juggernaut getting off to an excellent start. He's sitting at 10 last hits down at the bottom. We are going to have a little bit of paint traded. TP reaction will be there. Zoe being chased out. Chuan's there to use the telekinesis. That's going to be our first blood, or at least it should be, and it will. So good reaction.
Ice had the chance to go away. He was too cocky. We all saw that. He had Surge. He could have ran away. He didn't have to, you know, what's it called? To go there and... What's the word called?
Hang around. Hang on, Faith going to be Avalanche. There's a disruption. Light Strike Array going to be looking to follow it up. Faith already down. Yep, there you go. There's that kill potential I was talking about. And that's the Silencer that died, and that's the problem that I've seen that tri-lane have in particular when run offensively. Silencer just really, when he's spotted out, and if he's out of position, he's a dead man in these early levels, and now going to fall a little bit behind, and it's going to get even worse from here.
Well, what I know from Juggernaut is that he will just stay on this lane as long as he wants, get the XP, but he's not going to farm now. So this transition on bottom lane, which I knew that was going to happen at some point, that they're just going to have to make this SF. They're just going to have to protect him. Look, Chuan trying to pull, but hey, Ice, where's my creep wave?
Ice, grabbing
some damage maybe?
For now, the tri-lane at top going to have a little bit more room for Zenith. We see YYF coming forward, playing pretty bravely. Zenith happy to just stack and pull for the moment. So finally, going to be getting the last hits he needs. He's already caught back up, by the way. He's at 15, so it wasn't as if he was crippled or anything by the way things were going. But YYF now going to catch a Light Strike Array. Can they get a disruption? They can. And Soul Catcher's there. He will go ahead and use Blade Fury and make it back to safety, but takes a little bit of damage for his time.
The Lena should have just went in front of him. Like, totally in front of him. Not even try to block him. Because then the Juggernaut would have to go on the right side, which would have been much more of a risk, because the Shadow Demon could block him there. And it would have been, you know, a waste of time for him.
And Faith has now hooked up with Chuan down here in bottom, so they will simply be protecting the Shadow Fiend. And honestly, I'm a little surprised they didn't do this right at the beginning. I mean, Jugger did get a little extra farm, but giving up the death and not the best start for the Silencer. Here in mid, Tinker doing quite well. He's sitting at 19 last hits, 19 for the Shadow Fiend, so going back and forth there. 17 for the Tiny, and 18 for our Darkseer. So very even all across the board so far. 5 minutes in, 2 kills on the board.
Well, IG did not need to stand bottom with the Shadow Fiend. All they needed to get was a teleport scroll on Rubik. That's enough protection for the Shadow Fiend. But I should have known that this is not a pub team. They will teleport and, you know, screw up your kill. because they know that this is going to happen, and they know that top is never going to try to kill them.
MWP's in some trouble, being chased down and will be cleaned up by the Shockwave. Good reaction out of YYF, moving the hook up with Ferrari. Ferrari skewered him back under the tower, and able to clean him up, make it 2-1 now, favoring Invictus Gaming.
And a push is starting bottom. Darkseer is not really one of those heroes that can do much bottom against the push.
And tower taking some damage. Doesn't look like he's... Yeah, Ice already forced all the way out. He's below a quarter health. We'll see if there's going to be any concerted reactions. Zenith is under cover of smoke, now making their way towards mid. We're going to see if they want to go for the return kill on Ferrari or if they're just going to pass through. Freedom has turned south, as will Ice now. Now, Ferrari does not have enough mana for a skewer. They're going to know that. So if he's caught out, he's not going to have any dedicated way to escape. They've actually decided to go past. Now Ice going to be cleaned up. Shadow Rays finishes him off after the tier 1 drops. Zenith going to look for the return kill. G-1 going to eat the Shadow. And now the disruption. Here comes Miracle. Follows it up with an Avalanche, and Faith going to be cleaned up easily. Zoe looking for the return on Miracle, but Miracle a little too quick. Phase boots just enough to get him out of reach of IG. So make it 3-2. IG leads in kills, and they do manage to bring down a tower as well.
Yeah, the Silencer death, not going to change anything. I'm pretty sure Faith used all of his gold since he has like 170 gold already in his pocket. Yeah, he did not waste anything there. And the Tiny needed to waste his teleport scroll, he needed to go bottom and stop the farm. And they did not push the top tower down. I think Tiny Solo could have just understood that there's nobody top, I'll just push it down. Because they saw a Juggernaut kill with Magnetar the Tinker. They could have done so many things at the same time.
Jugger will have his phase boots up shortly. Ice still hanging around here in mid. He's going to make his way to the high ground, drop himself a ward, and go ahead and de-ward while he happens to be there. Going to be a reaction out of Faith. And Ferrari, enough to scare him away now. The counter ward to the counter ward. So a little bit of gold wasted on behalf of Zenith. Taking a look at Tinker, he's doing quite well here in mid. Magnus not hurting either, 26-33. And Mag already with his arc boots up, he's in good shape. I mean, obviously getting that kill helps, but now starting to save for that big Blink Dagger. The earlier that Blink Dagger comes out, I think is going to be the earlier we see IG fight. What I really want to keep an eye on is how Zoe decides to build this Shadow Fiend. Is he going to go something like a Shadow Blade BKB, or is he going to go something even more stable?
I think he's going to go for drums, the Circlet, or Ring of Aquila. I don't know, but one of the choices. Let's see this gank, how it will work out.
2 down there. That's Ice Freedom joining up with the Darkseer. Ice going to cut the creeps, going to try and prompt a reaction. Zenith continuing to hang around this pull camp. That's just G-1 and Zoe. Zoe at 910 HP. Right around 620 for G-1. Not the tankiest heroes in the known universe. Faith has made his way down, but I love this. I mean, it's just such good game sense. He didn't run right to the tower or anything. He knows something is probably up here. And Zoe going to go ahead, pull the creeps back to the south of the tower, and it looks like...
Well, you know what's up? Magnetar with Haste Rune. That's what's up.
With the
You're
Haste
going to see soon.
And now Ice going to take some damage from the Silencer. There's a last word as well. Magnetar still sitting mid for the moment with Yamate. And
wow, he stole the bottle.
He stole the bottle?
Shadow Demon. Yes.
Yeah, he managed to steal the bottle from Zoe. Oh, you kleptomaniac Freedom, you mean man. Makes it back to the base with the bottle that doesn't belong to him. I have never seen that in a professional game. Never have I seen that.
I've seen it many times. Usually it's killed, not taken.
Right. Yeah, I've seen items like that denied before. I've never seen it just flat out stolen. 9 minutes in, it's 3-2. 5 kills on the board total. A lot of movement out of both teams. Still feels like the calm before the storm, though. Waiting to see what's going to happen, and yeah, there you go. Freedom with a bottle belonging to Zoe. Going to keep it in his back pocket and brag about it to his buddies.
I don't really know what to do if I was Zoe here, but I would definitely buy another bottle because it's important to have a bottle on SF. It is. Everybody who plays SF knows the top lane.
And Freedom going to be telekinesed after the disruption. Last words there, eating a lot of damage. Juggernaut doing damage as well. Freedom will be cleaned up. Light Striker Rays off the mark. Now Ferrari there. He's popped the Haste Rune, looking for an RP. Let's see if he's going to find it. And trying to... Oh, no! Vacuumed out of it. Ice likely to... Oh, wow. Ice actually going to get away. The Avalanche is going to catch Chuan, though, where Faith actually ends up getting cleaned up with the Dragon Slave from long range. Now the TP reaction. And Ferrari got a little chest out. Thought he was going to drop the hammer at one point or another. Instead, make it 4-3. IG continues to maintain their lead.
Middle tower is under attack.
I guess he was waiting for something else, like maybe Juggernaut Ultimate, or not really sure, or pull from Rubik, but he should have just landed it on one lean and killed him. There's no reason to wait.
Ferrari with an invis now, gonna look to set something up. The majority of IG all occupying that central lane. Taking a look at the item, seeing where everybody sits. Miracle's on his way to his drums after phase. No real surprise there. Freedom sitting on just his boots. Ice is about 600 gold towards a mech if that is indeed going to be the choice. IG is going to go ahead and push down the tier 1 mid while they have the chance.
Take a look at bottom lane.
Yamate has made his way down there for the moment. And Zoe going to be there with Ferrari. Ferrari does drop the hammer and peace out, Tinker. See you at the well, my friend. 5-3, IG being held off for the moment by Ice. Now going to rush their way up. The healing ward is down from YYF, so they should be able to do a little bit more damage at the very least before the reaction comes. Ferrari is now going to be hooking up with him. In the meantime, Freedom and Miracle just farming up at top.
Well, I guess this bottle losing made Zhao a little bit, you know, mad because he can't go any more HP items. He knows, like, okay, if I'm gonna leave, if I'm gonna go back to the base, let's see this kill happen maybe.
Ice, surged, and using the Ion Shell on Zoe. Zoe has picked up the Shadow Amulet, so he is on his way to Shadow Blade. Oh, wow, he missed the vacuum! And now, gonna be pursued out. There's the curse and the last word. Surge should be enough. Nope, Omni Slash ready to roll, and YYF gets the return kill. That's 2 big mistakes we've seen out of him today, costing him perhaps at least 2 deaths.
Yes, and they were all next to the Shadow Fiend.
Yep.
I guess his eyes go red, you know, like, free kill!
It's a very squishy hero. Now going to be a little harder to track down that he has completed the Shadow Blade. I was like you. I thought he was going to go something more stable, but knew the Shadow Blade approach was going to be on the menu. Imagine it'll be followed up by the BKB now. And that really, you know, that signals to me that IG does, you know, they don't want to let this is not a grinded out game for them. I'll put it that way. They want to get out, they want to fight, and they want to try to get this game locked down in the earlier stages. That way they can just use the Shadow Blade to sneak up, pop the ult, have the BKB ready to go, so on and so forth. And given that they are in pretty good shape now, we're at 12.5 minutes in, 6-3. They're leading kills, the gold just about 3,000, their advantage in excess of 3,000 experience. Understandable.
Well, you gotta trust me on this one that he probably wanted to go with the drums and magic stick, and then, you know, with the bottle, and then buy either BKB or Lothars, because he was gonna buy the Lothars regardless of this game, how it goes or whatever. It's like Mushi. He just buys Lothars like the 4th item. He doesn't care because it's an important item for Shadow Fiend. It's really good on Shadow Fiend. It's probably the best on Shadow Fiend. The different idea of this is that if he would have had the bottle, he would have probably farmed this Lothars faster. That's the only point. That's why he had to get it now.
Here in mid, he has hooked up with Ferrari and Chuan. Now eyeing that tier 1 mid once again in WPs there with maxed out March in the Machine. Not a single point in a rocket yet. Should be enough to at least keep this tower up a little bit longer. And freeing things up for Freedom and Miracle to apply their own pressure to the tier 1 top. It's down to about a quarter. Never mind, they are going to walk their way back up there. And yeah, just knowing they can get there before the tower does drop. Not quite in deny range yet, though, so we may see Zoe go for a gank kill here with his team with that Shadow Blade. Nope, never mind. Going to come right out from undercover and just farm up some more.
Well, they're going to try to pressure both towers. This is what IG loves to do. They like to put their Juggernaut +1 middle and the rest of the supports top. But against Tinker, I think it's a no-no.
And the reaction down the bottom, and that bottom tower is deniable now if Zoe wants to do so. Probably look to clean this up before he does much of anything.
Oh, middle lane.
And here in mid, reaction's going to be there. Tower was denied by Zoe. But, yeah, looks like, I mean, this is, again, one of those matches where you can just sense actions ready to break out at any given moment. We got 9 kills on the board in a 14-minute game. Not the most active, but not the most quiet. But soon enough, this laning phase is going to break down, and given the pure punching power both teams have, and here we go. There's the RP, going to catch 2 of the 3. Light Striker Ray not going to be there. Global Silence goes off. Freedom dead to rights, and YYF looking for an Omni Slash on Ice. Magnus going to clean up Shadow Demon in the meantime. Ice gonna be able to buy himself some time with a well-placed Light Striker Ray. Gonna be cleaned up now. The Courier looked at, but YYF, even with the drum charge, thinks better of it. Make it 8-3, and now we're beginning to see IG hit their stride a bit.
Well, even though these 2 frags, they don't really mean much. It wasn't on the main heroes that you wanted to do. It wasn't on the Dogs tier that is really low already. It wasn't on the Tinker or the Tiny. It was on 2 heroes that pretty much are not doing anything much more than just standing there and giving away. But you can't do this. You can't let these frags happen 4 times in a row. I think it's fine to do it 3 times in a row even. Like to lose them and you're still not behind if all your farming heroes are farming and get away.
You're in mid, tier 1, going to be brought down by Ferrari and G-1. In the meantime, reaction up to top. Zoe's there with YYF. They should be able to deny that. Glyph's there now. We're going to have Freedom get the disruption off. That's going to catch G-1. G-1 dead to rights, and Ferrari can do nothing but bail out. There's a Laguna Blade to seal the deal. 8-4. Zenith getting a little bit more under their belt. The tower's still just north of deny range, so they can't quite deny it yet. In the meantime, Miracle is finding some more farm. He's on his way to Exags. He's got his point booster now that the drums have come out to go with his phase boots. Zoe is actually gonna be going with lifesteal. He's picked up a Morbid Mask.
Well, it's a fine item if he wants to keep on farming and not lose any HP. Let's see what's going to happen to him right now. And nothing really.
Yep, no reaction. We got a lot of movement here in mid. That tower still standing, and again, just north of deny range. It's going to be in deny range, and Ice is going to be there to take his best shot if he wants. Oh, clutch deny from Ice, saving.
Ferrari's mad. Come on.
And now up at top, Zoe going to be spotted out, eating a lot of damage. Sentry Ward was down well in advance, and down he goes. So they get the tower. Well, they managed to deny the tower and get a return kill on Zoe. All things considered, not a bad sequence there for Zenith.
Oh, it's a huge win for Zenith. They know that the pressure is down now for mid lane, and it got denied, and they killed the Shadow Fiend. It's a huge win for Zenith.
Tiny getting closer to his axe. He's got 1,300 gold in the bank, able to pick up his next piece very, very soon if he wants to do so. Taking a look at Ice, he's still pretty broke. Miracle, we know where he stands in WP. Yamate has his boots of travel, has had them for some time, got 1,000 gold in the bank now, thinking he's probably going to want to make his way towards something like a Scythe of Ice. Magnus with his Blink Dagger, we've seen it, used a few times. Looks like we're going to have a Yasha coming out now on YYF.
Yeah. And Tiny's also going for a Yasha instead of straight Aganis.
Ah, that's actually interesting. Seeing the point booster come out makes sense, though. Take himself up just a little bit on the way to an item that he knows he's going to want very, very soon. Then go ahead and grab the Yasha, get that movement speed, and just be a more mobile hero. And, you know, it especially makes sense given how aggressive IG's playing. Speaking of, the RP does connect. Miracle Telekinesis, beautiful chain of initiation. Got the avalanche off, but not soon enough to do much of anything. 9-5, another key kill going the way of IG.
Well, looking how Magnus's HP went down, he will need a BKB, definitely. But the silence is going to stop everything from happening like that. There's not going to be a single spell used during the RP if nobody of them are going to get BKBs. Not even Tinker, Tiny. I mean, these heroes usually do not want to buy BKBs. Let's see bottom lane.
Zoe under pressure from Zenith, and there's the Demonic Purge, going to use the Shadow Blade. They have detection, down it goes. And Ice hits the Light Strike Array, max range, saves the Laguna Blade. And another key kill, this time though, going the way of Zenith. Nice counter punch coming out of them, and really I think it's admirable. They've been under a lot of pressure. They're managing to keep this game relatively close. 2,000 gold, 2,000 experience, the advantage for IG right now. And now the Tier 1 top looks to be the target that's going to prompt the TP reactions. 3 members of Zenith, though, remain between mid and bottom lane. For now, just Ice. And yeah, looks like they're just going to go ahead and sack this entirely.
Well, they don't really want to fight under this tower because they don't have Magnetar or SF, but let's see what happens.
And there we go. Avalanche goes off. Ice is going to be caught out. Rocket spam coming out of the woods. Vacuum doesn't accomplish much. Global silence does go off. Ice is going to be the target and will be cleaned up. March of the Machines, a nuisance, but not much more. Faith manages to TP away. YYF retreating as well. He might get tracked down by Tinker. Nope, never mind. Makes it to the side shop. And his teammate able to make it away as well. So the tower still stands, but another kill going the way of IG. Make it 10-6.
I don't know why Ice is thinking so long to click the Soul Ring and the mechanism. He sees it that his mana is low. It doesn't matter if Like, he was getting stick charges. I saw it. He was getting stick charges. He got 7 stick charges, but he had this awesome spell called Curse of the Silent on him. And every time he was getting a stick charge, he was losing mana at the same time. So he couldn't get to the mana of 150. He needed 10 stick charges for that to happen. He needed it. But he couldn't get to that. So he popped the Soul Ring in the end, and he just died instantly. He should have just popped it right away and got mech and gotten the 2+ armor. It's all good.
Zoe is going the ninja build, no doubt about it. Has picked himself up a Mask of Madness to go with his Shadow Blade. Going to look to get in close, going to look to strike fast and furious. There's a good vacuum wall, though. Now the TPs are going to land. Silence goes off. And the RP going to catch a couple behind the tower. They're going to be able to clean them both up easily. Following the skewer. Beautiful play by Ferrari 430. 12-6, they get the tier 1. And now you begin to feel this lineup of Zenith fray a little bit at the edges. Still have a lot of Dota left to be played, but IG beginning to feel very, very strong.
Yes. Ferrari does not joke around with this hero. He is one of the fastest RP skewers skewerers, I guess you would say it.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm proud. Anyway, he's really fast with that stuff.
Zoe on his way to a BKB, going to have it absurdly soon. In fact, he's going to have enough for his Mithril Hammer basically now, so you're talking 1,300 gold before he's Magic Immune, has a Shadow Blade, and a Mask of Madness, so you've got survivability, you've got burst single target damage, and a gigantic AoE nuke that Zenith's going to have to deal with on top of Magnus, who is playing remarkably well. He's got himself a mech now to go with his Blink Dagger Arc Boots, and Faith taking himself up. Looks like he's on his way to a set of treads. Ice has picked up a Bracer, Ice Cubed, with that mech and Soul Ring, as you had mentioned. Really haven't felt the influence of that mech too terribly much, though.
Well, I haven't felt the influence of Tinker also in this game.
Yep.
Things are going really weird. The only influence I've seen, the only things that I've seen working for this team is the Lina and Shadow Demon. They've been playing okay, and they've been doing stuff, like killing the Shadow Fiend. They've tried to kill somebody else, but, I mean, they tried to disrupt the Juggernaut and went all cocky mode, like, okay, maybe he's not going to click his spin button.
Right.
So you should never do that. Even if it works out, you should still call yourself stupid after that, if it works out. It's like, wow, he was stupid, but we were also, but he was stupider. Yay. You know, it's one of those moments.
Taking a look at Miracle. The big hope going right now for Zenith. He's going to be able to pick up at least one more piece of his Ags very, very soon, though at this point we may start seeing Zenith start to bank for buyback even. Down to nothing but tier 2s now, map control. I mean, and in fairness, I mean, they've done a decent job as well. They've taken down 2 tier 1s, so it isn't as if they're just getting dominated. But just their potential to fight now that IG has made up their mind to start moving as a unit, and we can see a unit under cover of smoke now making their way through mid. Zoe is by himself up at top right now. They're going to try to catch someone maybe moving in that direction through the woods. Ice, the closest candidate. Ice is going to make his way over as well. But, I mean, you can just tell by the posture of Zenith. They're playing very, very defensive, suspecting that something's up here.
Yes, they are. And this item that I see from YOAF, very important if I see that it's going to be the item. He's going to buy a pipe, which is very strong. Let's see this thing happening now. Sean gets... Okay.
And so, just going to show his face. There we go. They're going to be able to telekinesis the Tinker. Can they bring him back? Disruption going to keep him alive. Magnus under a Haste Rune's influence, going to be looking for a target. Global Silence goes off. But so far, nothing to follow it up whatsoever. Dead silence.
Zenith are in the woods, man. Zenith are in the woods.
the woods have eyes, bro. And IG got nothing out of that. So, I mean, all things considered, they didn't exactly get a win, but they didn't die either. And at this point, I think that's got to be considered to the benefit of Zenith. At least it buys them some time.
Yes, it does. But at what cost? Because this team Zenith, it's not really farming anything right now. Even though the Tinker is trying to do a really good job on, you know, exaggerating the map, getting all the farm that he can get. But Haste Rune.
And there's the skewer back right into Zoe and company. Beautifully played by Ferrari. Chased him from the north side of mid lane down to the bottom rune spot. Now we're going to have Juggernaut using Omni Slash. He is going to be cursed and vacuumed back, so they end up going 1-for-1. Tinker for Jugs. Now here comes the cavalry. And let's see if they want to re-engage. G-1 hasn't stolen a spell yet. And managed to get Light Strike Array there. Ferrari, of course, having used RP, unable to do anything with it. The BKB is done on Shadow Fiend. He just completed it, just as he moved to mid, so gonna look to fight even more now.
I don't think so. I think it's a farm item for Zhao. No joke, actually. It is a farm item. Now he does not care about the Lina, Shadow Demon, Tinker gank. Even Tiny, he can just BKB and TP out if he wants to.
And farming, at least for the moment. Only one Tier 1 remaining for IG, none remaining for Zenith. We'll take a look at the gold graph, see where we stand. Just north of 5,000 gold, the advantage for Invictus Gaming. Same story, more or less, in terms of experience. And at this point, I mean, if you're in Zenith's shoes, your Tiny's not in horrible shape. He's going to have his Ags up in about 1,300 gold, give or take. So Miracle is going to be able to fight much more effectively very, very soon. If you're in the shoes of Zenith right here, Poppy, what's your approach? What are you telling your teammates?
They really need to find this gank on Zhao once again. Every time the Shadow Fiend got ganked, they had some free space. Even though you would think that the BKB is going to negate every one of these ganks, that's not really true. They have a Tiny. Tiny has an awesome spell called Toss, and also a lot of damage, of course. And if the Shadow Fiend thinks that he can teleport out under a Tiny that can toss him, he's wrong. So if they can find a smoke gank on the Shadow Fiend with the Tiny, it would be really good for them. But now they've already wasted the time by not doing it.
The Juggernaut's actually added a Perseverance to his inventory now, so it doesn't look like it's going to be on the way to a pipe.
It's going to be a refresher.
Yep. Makes sense to me. Was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, obviously, you see a Perseverance 9 times out of 10, you want to say Battle Fury. I just don't see how that really fits in to what he's going to be needing to do. And Jug's actually just got a single or solo kill on Tinker. That poor Tinker, man. He has been having a rough day.
He has, but actually he hasn't. He can't do anything much if his lineup cannot even go further, you know. They can't even make him teleport on something and be like in a team fight, because there's no team fight.
Yep.
There's no team fight going on in this map besides their own towers. And Tinker is good against defending towers, that's what he's been doing. But, you know, Tinker's also good when you can take fights in some places and suddenly get a Tinker.
How about getting a Roshan? Usually helps your chances for victory. IG going to take this one for free after dropping that Tier 2 mid. And looks like they're ready to go ahead and fight again. Ferrari's got an RP if and when he wants it. And Ice putting a little pressure on bottom is going to force the reaction out of Zoe. Happy to go find a little bit more farm. 3,300 gold in the bank to go with his brand new Aegis sitting in his inventory. We'll wait to see what his next item's going to be. We got 2,400 gold banked up on Ferrari so far. BKB obviously an option. And Yamate, who, I mean, the poor guy's still sitting on Blink Dagger, Boots of Travel, and just a Null Talisman Soul Ring. I mean, he's gotten up the most essential items, but hasn't made a bit of progress outside of the 1,600 gold he has towards any item like a Scythe of Ice.
Yeah, it's been really hard for him. But Zenith can still win the fight because of one hero and because of one ultimate. It's the Wall of Replica. I don't see IG having much of a AoE damage spell on the illusions, because they don't necessarily, if they use all their spells on the heroes, I'm not gonna see probably I'm probably gonna see the Shadow Fiend ultimate this time of the game already, but his damage is so huge, maybe he's not gonna want to waste the time. But the Shadow Fiend illusion and the Juggernaut illusion can actually rip them up when the Doxia gets...
Just look at this Tier 2. I mean, with Empower on him, he is hitting so hard. I mean, just really hitting so hard. He's hitting for around 260 damage. And with his team behind him, really not afraid to show his face a little bit more. So they get another tower. Only one outer tier tower now remains for Zenith. 10,000 gold now, the advantage of IG, 10,000 experience. And this is kind of something I touched on during my introductions, is this is the kind of situation most teams, and it doesn't matter how good you are, it's usually not going to go your way if you get into a grinded out kind of a game like this with IG. IG, especially if you're playing with a stand-in, not to say anything bad about Miracle, fantastic player, but playing with a group of players he does not play with 364 days out of the year, and getting into a game like this where you're just basically trying to farm your way back into it and slowly being whittled down in terms of map control, that's not going to work even for the best of teams, especially if you're playing short-handed.
It would work if IG would not have so late game oriented lineup because they have Rubik scales so well. Juggernaut, Magnetar, SF's also all really good heroes. And Silencer, you know, even if he's support, a level 16 Silencer is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
Force Staff going to be the item of choice for our Shadow Demon, trying to keep his buddies and himself a little bit out of control. Finally, Yamate has added the Ultimate Orb to his inventory, so Scythe Device would be a pretty big pickup for them if they're able to catch Zoe out. But much easier said than done. Speaking of Zoe, he just flat out bought a butterfly. He just said, you know what, I like that awesome green sword in the window. I'll have one of those all in one piece, please.
Well, he doesn't really care about anything right now. I think he's having fun. He's like, towers, free money.
I mean, at this point, he's hitting for just about 300 damage without Empower on him. And yeah, I think IG beginning to realize this game is going to conclude soon if they wish it to be. But Zenith still with a chance, as you said. While a replica very strong, the Aegis on Zoe buys them a little bit more room, though. And yeah, they're just going to go for it. March of the Machines, and Zoe doesn't care. With Mech there, with the Healing Ward there, they're able to just tank through this. Now Zoe does eat a lot of damage. Now he's going to be disrupted. Let's see if they can follow this up. Zoe pops the BKB, looking for a target, doing a lot of right-click damage. Good skewer comes out of Ferrari. 15 to 7.
Lost a lot of HP, actually.
Yeah. Zoe lost a lot of HP. He's very, very low now. And just going to go ahead and de-ward a little bit. Going to guess somebody picked up a gem. And Ferrari has actually picked up an Ultimate Orb of his own. They're going to go ahead and pull back. Tier 3 still standing just north of deny range.
If this Tiny could get somehow a BKB, I could actually see Zenith winning a team fight if everything goes for, for them. If the vacuum wall replica will hit after when the avalanche and toss will hit the same placement of the vacuum, I'm pretty sure heroes are going to die. Magnetar is just going to melt also, but they're going to still have maybe 300, 400 HP left, which is enough. When you have a Jugger Healing Ward, it's enough to stay alive and actually get full HP.
Zoe, with his band of brigands, moving under cover of smoke, looking for a target. Zenith not going to fall for it. Everybody back inside the base for now. And IG, after healing up, still have a while on that. Actually, not that long, now that I notice it. They've only got about a minute on that Aegis, so depending on how aggressive they want to play it, they could decide to just turtle out another one if they really want to play it safe. And yeah, YYF's just going to go farm for now. And he did go Battle Fury, by the way.
Yeah, it's fine, because they see they're in a winning position, and what's more winning than just farming more?
Yep. The old philosophy of, if you're ahead, get further ahead. No problem, bro. The Axe has actually been picked up on Ice 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 as well, so you can already see Zenith realizing how important his ultimate is going to be. Freedom with his Force Staff complete. Ice with the gem and not much else. Poor guy been broke as a joke most of the game. 2,300 gold in the inventory of Zoe now. It looks like Faith going to be on his way to a Force Staff as well. Chuan has one already.
Well, I have one theory how to win this fight for Zenith. If they really rely on this Magnetar jumping in, which they do, they really do, just somehow get vision of him and see when he blinks in, just Force Staff him out. That's the only way I can see them winning the fight. If the Magnetar would jump in and the Shadow Demon would just Force Staff him out, doesn't matter if he skewers back or wherever he does, there's a chance that the Magnetar will be Force Staff further ahead and he will skewer right back into the tower, let's say, if they're pushing, and it will be so beneficial for them that they have to waste the global silence. They just don't have to screw up the situation because the Magnetar will be vulnerable, but if they just run into him and see like, oh, Magnetar's vulnerable, and run in, he's just gonna RP everyone anyway. So just, be smart about the situation. It's the only way that I can see them win.
That Tiny is going to begin to feel like a Tiny very, very soon. I mean, now that he's got his Axe, he's going to anyway. He has enough gold to pick up a Hyperstone. Don't know that he wants to right now, just because he probably wants to take a look at buyback cash, anticipating this push that's certainly coming from IG. 5-1 for kills is our Juggernaut. 3-0 for Mag, so Ferrari has had a phenomenal game. Not bad play out of Zoe or our Lina either. Lina sitting at 3-1, but other than that, things pretty much spread even. We look at the net worth, we can see Zoe is just miles ahead right now of just about everyone. And we're going to have a disruption. Let's see if they want to follow it up. YYF will be caught. Force Staff will get him back to safety. Down goes the Healing Ward, so they're going to have time to think it over. The Aegis is gone. Did fade quite some minutes ago for Zoe.
They're not going to push without the Healing Ward. There's no way.
At this point, they may as well turtle out another Roche. Roche going to be up in 3 minutes.
Yeah, they have to. The healing wards is the most important thing right now for their push, and if it's gone, they might risk in losing more heroes than they want to. They don't want to lose a single hero, let's say it like that.
Tinker is making progress towards that Scythe of Ice. Very important item if he can get the jump on Zoe. And speaking of getting the jump on Zoe under cover of Shadow Blade, never mind. Going to reveal himself. Thought he was trying to catch somebody napping and poking their nose out of the base. Not going to be the case. But, yeah, I mean, he's not super far away, so finally beginning to play a little bit of catch-up. We're 35 minutes into this game, 22 kills on the board, 15 belong to IG. The gold heavily in their favor there. We're talking 14,000, 15,000 gold and experience respectively, moving in their direction. Zenith just trying to turtle this out and buy their Tiny some time. And yeah, he's sitting on 3,100 gold now, definitely wanting to hang on to buyback cash.
As much as this Juggernaut is farming, he just bought something, I'm not really sure. Let's take a look. Oh, he's going for heart. Yeah, this is good. Oh, ice.
Puppy noob. We see it. We see it.
I know, man. I know. He knows something about me. Anyway, I was just gonna say something. If this Juggernaut is gonna get some kind of a damage item, like a butterfly or something like that, I think it's gonna work worse for them because the Wall of Replica is gonna have a 140% damage butterfly Juggernaut out of this. It's not going to work good for them. But YY is not stupid. Of course, he's like, well, I'm not going to give them a chance. I'm just going to buy heart.
Right. Now we can see Ferrari's picked up a Scythe of Ice of his own. Actually, how often do you see that? A Magnus beats a Tinker into a Scythe of Ice. Looks like we are having a little bit of lag. Ice going to go into pause. That gives me a chance to thank each and every one of you for being a part of our broadcast here today. For just tuning in, I'm AC, joined by Navi's own Puppy for the broadcast. We're in game one of this best of three. Looks to be the winding down moments. IG very far ahead, looking to close the door and get themselves an early lead. And want to remind you as well to check out G1.2p.com, your coverage hub for the G1 Champions League. You've got all of your information, your caster hub. You can interact with us in real time on Twitter. We try to respond and talk as much as we can in between games. And, of course, the interviews, articles, all the awesome stuff that makes any kind of coverage site great. And I'll tell you, G1.2p.com, an excellent coverage site. While we have this pause, Puppy, why don't you go ahead and plug yourself as well? Where can they find more about you?
They can find me on Twitter, Puppy, and Clementinator on Twitter.
There you go. So check him out, watch him stream, tweet at him, tell him he literally is the best player on the face of the planet. But, yeah, I mean, so far here, Puppy, let's, I guess we can go ahead and just give a quick recap. We're just about 37 minutes in, and we both knew coming in that Zenith, again, this is not the kind of game style you usually want to play against a team like IG. It looks like we might be resuming sometime real soon, Shawan. Given the old manner question mark, wondering what's going on. But where did things go wrong? If you could point out any key moment or any time in particular that stands out in your head as when things really turned for Zenith, when would that be?
I would say giving away the first blood bottom and then a very slow movement bottom to kill the, I don't know, Silencer. I guess they killed Silencer with the Shadow Demon Lina in the early stage when they tried to defend the bottom tower. They could have just pushed their own tower down. They could have done it. Tiny is strong. He deals a lot of damage. Shadow Demon and Lina, they don't let any hero come close. Even if the Juggernaut would have came close, he could not do anything. And the Juggernaut was just standing middle. It was obvious that there's nobody top. And, this is how IG plays. They are in front of their enemy because they do things before you think they do it, and you're only there to counter them. But instead of countering them, you should just do your own moves. Do the same moves, but do it your own way. Because they knew that the Juggernaut is gone, but they weren't utilizing it. See, you can just think that he's gone and not getting XP on whatever, but he was standing middle. Through the RP and the Juggernaut, they killed a Tinker. If there would not be a Juggernaut there, they would not have killed the Tinker. I'm pretty sure about that, because Laser is such a good spell in running away. You can just laser the hero for seconds, he can't hit you, and that's enough for you to get away. The solo Magnetar would not have killed a Tinker, in my opinion. I'm not really sure what the position there was, if YYF was needed or not. But if they would have constantly pushed top, the Juggernaut would... You just go there. He would just go there, and you would not face a kill on a Tinker in middle lane. Even though you would lose your bottom tower because they were pushing down and Darkseer was getting pressured, it would not have happened. The early stage of the game was played so good by IG that this game has just been rolling like that.
There you go. Our turning point of the game brought to you by Puppy Incorporated. 37 minutes, and again, looks like IG just about ready to shut the door. 4,200 gold in the Bank of Zoe. Bank of Zoe, where you go to open for all of your banking needs. I'd go to the Bank of Zoe. I'd open an account. Juggernaut and our Shadow Fiend both sitting atop the overall net worth, 20,000, 15,000 respectively. The only hero even in range is Tiny, and even Magnus is pretty darn close. Take a look at Faith. He's getting close to his 4 staff. Should be done momentarily, but really, at this point, I mean, Roshan is going to be back up, like, right now, basically, so I'd actually be surprised. They may not even care, though. They may just feel like they're so far ahead, they don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah. But, you know, one of the things that you have to think about early game is always that you can be pressured, but you can also pressure with heroes that shouldn't be pressuring. Because there's no way a Rubik and Silencer you can never think that these heroes can kill a tower, but they can. And you just have to put your mind into the thinking that all heroes can actually put pressure on, even the towers. And this, like I said, the early game stage was very important because this is how Zenith has been playing the whole game. If they would have played aggressive on the early stages, they probably would have played aggressive the whole game. Let's look at this Lina.
Yep, Ice gonna have Light Strike Array stolen. We'll be able to make it back. Eats a lot of damage in the process. Speaking of a lot of damage, looking at Zoe when he's empowered, still hitting for right around 300 damage, give or take. I want to see what the Juggernaut was hitting for as well. Can't find him. There he is. YYF with his hard done. Not only is he hitting hard, he's quite tanky as well. With Empower, he's right up there, hitting almost as hard as the Shadow Fiend in a lot of cases. And now going to go to work. And yeah, Miracle going to be hexed out. Ferrari's there, going to go and skewer him back. Skewers away from all the damage too, and Miracle cleaned up before you can swing once. That is the definition of unfortunate if you're Zenith. You just had your Tiny forced into a buyback, and he did not swing one time. And they didn't even have to use RP. They did not use a single high-value skill to make that happen.
I think the 4-staff was on cooldown, not really sure.
Zoe going to be engaged upon. There's a vacuum. The wall's there as well. Now Tiny going to go. Global Silence goes off. Zoe being right-clicked. Yep, eating a lot of damage from Juggernaut and his own illusion. Ferrari going to be hexed. Can they chase him out? Doesn't look like they can. And Yamate playing pretty brave. Chuan, there's Ferrari. Gets the hex off. And Chuan not going to be able to get to him in time, though. So Zenith, they do lose the tier 3. The rack's still standing for the moment. Let's see how they want to play this out. That wall, not at the best defensive angle. If they decide to rush back up, will be fading anyway. And yeah, they're going to go and rotate around. They're going to find Ice. And poor Ice has been caught out a couple of times like that. Dropped a gem that time as well. So donating to the Faith Charity Fund. And now, yep, I mean, just, what did you, okay, just picked up a Void Stone. I was curious why everyone was moving to the secret shop, but 7,000 gold in the Bank of Zoe right now. It's a pretty rich Bank of Zoe.
Yeah, he's pretty rich. He's got all of the items that he needs.
Old money. He's old money. Snooty. There we go. Ice going to be caught out. Good skewer from Ferrari. Brings him out of the base. They're going to be able to pursue him out and clean him up. March of the Machines being a nuisance, but not much else. Look how much damage Zoe's hitting for. He could just about 3-shot freedom right now. And Tiny can do nothing but stare on as he watches his racks melt down. Just doesn't have the support staff. Lina down. Darkseer did buy back. There's a vacuum that accomplishes not much. No follow-up for it at all. And Demonic Purge going to be spin on Zosto. Zoe still has the Aegis and going to be caught out now by Chuan. Tiny's just not fighting. He's hanging around and not really committing, knowing that if he dies having spent his buyback, it's GG immediately. But they're just going to lose their racks, and now IG ready to rotate to top. They're going to have to fight at some point. They're going to run out of racks before IG runs out of firepower. And now the RP spent, catches 2, Avalanche, does nothing as he's telekinesed. There's another wall that goes down, though. Now the damage comes out, and Zoe tossed out. Double kill for Miracle as he tosses one to kill the other. Pops the Aegis as well. Zoe back up and fighting, so a valiant last defense, but as the second set of racks drops, can't imagine Zenith has a whole lot left in the tank. Yep, there it is, the GG.
Well played, the illusions of IG. You almost killed the whole team.
Gotta love that. I like the toss. The toss from Miracle. Tossed one to kill them both. Very nice. Well executed.
Radiant's bottom
I think they should have tried something like that a long time already. Tossed the SF back to the enemies and stuff and disrupted the Tiny, because all in all, they were just standing and waiting till they get jumped on. I think that's not a choice against a team like IG. Or basically against any team that is good.
Very impressive game out of IG, and you look here at the last few moments, 20,000 gold, 25,000 experience separating them. It feels like it was, well, I mean, obviously it was, by the time all was said and done, a very lopsided win for IG. But again, this is just what IG does, man. I mean, they will hang a loss on you in short order if you open the door, but they're happy to just grind you to death. And that's why I thought it was very important that Zenith got off to a good start. They hung in there for a while, but for the most part, just got into that grinded out kind of a game with IG, and then all of a sudden at 40 minutes you find out they've got a full inventory on freaking everyone. And even though your carry has his core items, just, I mean, you saw Tiny literally could not fight there at the end, just had no chance to contribute.
Well, he did need a BKB, but how much would the BKB give him?
Exactly.
I don't think much, really, because they have two core super damage heroes, that was Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend. They're both under the Magnetime power, and they can just land the RP on the Tiny and just keep killing you off. They can just keep killing you off, and they can take a fight like that, go back. Because they don't care. They can make you buy back. You're not ever going to get new items after that BKB.
42 minutes, 44 seconds, the official game time. Make it 26-8 in a lopsided Game 1 round. Invictus Gaming puts themselves one game away from punching their ticket to the live finals here at the G1 Champions League. Zenith loses their first game in 15 straight. It had been weeks since they lost the game, let alone a series. They lost the game. They're going to hope they can keep their series win streak alive at the very least. Big task ahead of them, though. Got to win 2 in a row against IG. I'm AC, joined by Navi's Puppy. Hope you guys are enjoying the broadcast. We'll be back with Game 2 of this best of 3 coming up next.